Best wishes to you, my dear friend. May this message reach your heart and awaken your faith to a new level of abundance and divine increase. Today, I want you to know that heaven has written a law that cannot be broken. The law that says whatever you release multiplies back to you. This is not just a promise, it's a divine principle that governs the flow of blessing in your life. When you give, you are not losing, you are planting. And when you plant in faith, you have already set your harvest in motion. Say amen. Giving is not about how much you have, but how much faith you carry when you release it. Some people wait until they have plenty to give, but that's not how the law of multiplication works. The miracle begins when you release what you already hold, trusting that heaven will breathe on it and turn it into more. The moment you let go in faith, you break the spirit of limitation. Giving transforms your mindset from scarcity to abundance. And abundance always finds those who live generously. There is divine mathematics in giving. In the world, subtraction reduces, but in the spiritual realm, subtraction multiplies. When you give, you activate heaven's multiplication table, where little becomes much, and the seed becomes the forest. The same hand that gives to others becomes the hand that receives blessings overflowing. The more you release, the more heaven releases toward you. This is the hidden secret of divine wealth. Many people pray for increase, but forget that giving is the door that opens increase. You cannot pray your way into abundance while your hands remain closed. A closed hand can hold nothing new. But when you open your hand in kindness, in generosity, in compassion, you invite the divine flow to pass through you. You become a vessel, not a container. And the vessel that keeps flowing never runs dry. Giving also refines your heart. It removes selfishness, fear, and greed, replacing them with love, trust, and peace. Every time you give, you remind your heart that your source is not money. Your source is divine provision. Money may pass through your hand, but the real provider is the one who multiplies it. That understanding is the foundation of lasting abundance. Without it, wealth fades. With it, wealth grows effortlessly. The beauty of this law is that it works for anyone who practices it. Whether you are rich or struggling, when you give from the heart, heaven notices. The widow's small coin carried more weight than the rich man's treasure because it was wrapped in faith. Don't underestimate your small act of giving. It may be the very key that unlocks your next breakthrough. The size of the seed doesn't matter. It's the spirit behind it that draws divine multiplication. When you give, you step into partnership with heaven. You become a channel for blessing to others. And heaven makes sure you never run empty. Think of a river. It keeps flowing because it keeps giving. The moment it stops, it becomes stagnant. In the same way, your finances stay alive when they are moving. Giving keeps them fresh, flowing, and fruitful. This law also teaches that what you make happen for others, heaven will make happen for you. When you bless someone's dream, you sow into your own. When you lift another person, heaven prepares someone to lift you higher. Giving creates circles of favor. What you release always finds its way back to you, multiplied and overflowing. Sometimes the greatest test of faith is to give when you're in need. That's when giving becomes powerful. Because in that moment, you are saying, I believe in a higher source. I believe that what leaves my hand will not leave my life. And heaven always honors that kind of faith. The divine law of multiplication responds to your trust, not your amount. So today, open your heart and your hand. Give with joy, not fear. Give with faith, not calculation. What you release will come back to you in ways you never imagined. Pressed down, shaken together and running over. You were never meant to live in lack. You were created to overflow. Activate the law. Live generously. Speak increase. And watch as your giving multiplies into blessings beyond measure. Sowing is the foundation of every harvest, both in the natural and the spiritual. Nothing grows until something is planted. You cannot expect increase where no seed has been sown. The hidden law of finances operates on this eternal truth. You must release before you receive. Every dream, every goal, every desire for financial breakthrough begins with a seed. That seed might be your time, your skill, your faith, or your money. But until it leaves your hand, it cannot multiply. When a farmer looks at his empty field, he doesn't complain about the lack of crops he sows. He understands that what he plants today will define his tomorrow. The same truth applies to your life. You cannot speak about lack if you have not planted something in faith. If you want opportunities, sow effort. If you want relationships, sow kindness. If you want financial increase, sow generosity. The seed is always smaller than the harvest, but it carries the potential of abundance within it. Many people delay their harvest because they hesitate to sow. They fear that what they give will never return. But in the spiritual law of sowing, the soil of faith never forgets a seed. Heaven keeps record of every act of giving, every good deed, every sacrifice done in faith. Your seed may disappear from your hand, but it never disappears from heaven's sight. At the appointed time, it comes back in multiplied form, just like a planted seed that bursts forth after a season of waiting. Sowing is not an act of loss, it's an act of trust. When you release your seed, you are declaring that your future is more important than your present. You are saying, I believe in what's coming more than what I see right now. That kind of faith moves heaven. Because the moment you sow, you give heaven permission to release a harvest in your favor. There's a powerful truth hidden here. Every seed reproduces after its kind. If you sow bitterness, you reap more pain. If you sow faith, you reap miracles. If you sow generosity, you reap abundance. The soil responds to the seed you plant. So be careful what you sow with your words, your thoughts, and your actions, because your harvest will mirror your seed. Life always returns to you what you have planted into it. The law of sowing also teaches timing and patience. No farmer plants today and reaps tomorrow. There is a process, and the process requires trust. The seed must first go underground, unseen and silent, before it breaks forth into new life. Many people give up too early because they don't see instant results. But every seed has a season, and your financial harvest will arrive in its divine time. The beauty of this law is that your harvest will always be greater than your seed. One seed can produce hundreds of fruits. In the same way, one act of giving, one moment of kindness, one step of faith can open doors of favor and opportunities beyond imagination. Never underestimate the power of a single seed. It has the capacity to change your entire future. Sowing is also a test of the heart. It reveals whether you trust in your resources or in your source. Those who hold tightly to their possessions never experience true abundance. But those who release what they have in faith are the ones who see multiplication. Because the soil only gives back to those who trust it enough to plant something within it. If you are waiting for a harvest, check your seed. If you are praying for increase, check what you've planted. If you are longing for change, start sowing toward it. You cannot change your financial future without first changing what you release into it. Your future harvest is waiting for your present obedience. So don't let fear hold your seed hostage. Plant it with confidence, water it with faith, and protect it with patience. The law of sowing and reaping never fails. Heaven is faithful to those who trust the process. What you sow today will return to you in due time, not just in measure, but in multiplication. Your harvest is already in motion. Your part is simply to sow and believe. Trust is the bridge between sowing and reaping. You may plant your seed, give in faith, and act with diligence, but nothing happens instantly. The unseen forces are at work, arranging your provision and preparing your harvest. Trust the process, even when you cannot see the results. Faith requires patience, and patience is the companion of trust. The moment you trust, you allow heaven to move on your behalf. Many people give up because they want immediate results. They forget that all growth in finance, in relationships, and in personal development follows a process. A tree does not bear fruit the day it is planted. A seed must break through the soil, face storms, and grow strong roots before it produces abundance. Your life works the same way. Trust the unseen process, and the harvest will come at the perfect time. Trusting the process means believing in the unseen. You may not see the multiplication yet, but heaven sees it. Your giving, your faith, your prayers, and your persistence are already recorded in the spiritual account. The law of multiplication is active even when your eyes can't measure it. Trust ensures that you remain patient while divine timing aligns perfectly with your need. This law also teaches that delays are not denials. Waiting periods are often periods of preparation. Your faith is being refined, your vision is being strengthened, and your persistence is being rewarded. Those who trust during the waiting season always receive a greater harvest than those who act prematurely. Trust turns waiting into a season of growth. Trust requires confidence in the giver, not just the gift. When you rely solely on what you see, your bank balance, your current opportunities, or your resources, you limit what heaven can do. But when you trust in the one who multiplies, your perspective changes. You begin to act boldly, give generously, and speak in faith, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Trust is the engine of supernatural increase. Every step you take in faith confirms your trust in the process. When you continue to sow, give, and believe despite uncertainty, you are sending a signal to heaven. You are ready. Divine provision responds to consistent trust. The process is not random, it is purposeful. Your obedience fuels the flow of increase. Trust also protects your peace. When you believe in the process, worry and anxiety lose power over you. You rest in the assurance that heaven is handling what you cannot see. This peace allows you to continue acting faithfully without fear or hesitation. The calmer your faith, the faster your blessings arrive. Sometimes trust requires letting go of control. You may want to micromanage every detail of your financial growth or your success, but the hidden law of finances demands that you release your anxiety and allow divine order to work. Trust is surrendering control to the one who knows the end from the beginning. Remember, trust compounds over time. The longer you remain faithful in the unseen, the stronger your confidence becomes. Each small act of obedience builds a foundation for larger blessings. Trust is the soil in which your financial harvest grows, and it cannot thrive in fear or doubt. So today, commit to trusting the process. Continue sowing, giving, speaking life, and acting in faith, even when results are delayed. Your harvest is not missing, it is being prepared. Heaven is working behind the scenes, arranging your increase and multiplying your seed. Trust fully, believe deeply, and watch as your obedience transforms into overflowing blessings. Expectation is a powerful spiritual principle that activates the law of finances. When you give, sow, or act in faith, your expectation becomes the magnet that draws your harvest. Giving without expectation is simply an action. Giving with expectation releases unseen forces that prepare the way for multiplication. What you anticipate in your heart begins to take shape in the spiritual realm, setting your blessings in motion. Many people pray and give, but they doubt that anything will come back. Doubt neutralizes the power of expectation. Faith paired with expectation creates momentum that heaven cannot ignore. When you genuinely believe that your seed will return multiplied, you engage the spiritual law fully. Your words, actions, and mindset align with heaven's principle of increase, and the harvest is compelled to manifest. Expectation is not wishful thinking, it is active faith. It's declaring with confidence, I know this will come back to me. It's imagining your life overflowing even before the evidence appears. Your expectation fuels persistence, shapes your decisions, and keeps you moving forward despite challenges. A person with expectation lives differently. They act boldly, speak confidently, and refuse to settle for less than what God has promised. The spiritual system responds to what you anticipate. Your eyes may see a small bank balance or a tight situation, but your heart must see abundance. Every declaration of expectation, whether spoken or silently held, sends energy into the unseen, preparing doors, connections, and opportunities for your harvest. Expectation signals to heaven that your heart is ready to receive. Expectation also builds patience. When you truly believe that what you have sown will return, waiting becomes a season of preparation rather than frustration. You remain steadfast, persistent, and positive, knowing that heaven's timing is perfect. Expectation transforms the process from anxiety into excitement, from doubt into trust, and from fear into bold action. Every word of expectation carries spiritual weight. When you say, increase is coming, or my seed will multiply, you are speaking directly to the unseen realm. Angels and spiritual forces respond to these declarations, making way for provision, favor, and financial breakthroughs. Expectation is the spiritual catalyst that converts your faith into tangible results. Some people fail to see results because they sow without expecting return. They give quietly, hoping for nothing, and are surprised when increase doesn't appear immediately. But when you sow with confident expectation, you create a spiritual chain reaction. Heaven moves to honor the confidence in your heart, bringing back your seed with interest, abundance, and blessing. Expectation aligns your mind, heart, and spirit. When all three are focused on receiving the harvest, you are operating in perfect harmony with divine law. Your actions are energized, your words are powerful, and your faith is effective. The law of multiplication cannot resist a person whose expectation is unwavering. Expectation also strengthens your faith. Every time a small return appears, your confidence grows. Each confirmed promise builds trust in the law, creating a cycle where expectation, action, and return continually reinforce one another. Soon you will find that your expectations are no longer limited by circumstance, but expanded by faith. So today, cultivate expectation in your heart. Speak it boldly, believe it deeply, and live as if your harvest is already on its way. Align your thoughts, words, and actions with the certainty that what you have sown will return multiplied. When expectation meets faith, your financial harvest becomes unstoppable. Trust the law, anticipate your return, and step forward with confidence. The blessings you are expecting are already on their way. Stewardship is the key that unlocks the full potential of every blessing in your life. How you manage what you already have determines how much more will come to you. Heaven does not entrust abundance to someone who mismanages or takes for granted what has already been given. When you handle your resources wisely, whether money, time, talent, or opportunities, you create space for divine multiplication. Being a good steward begins with gratitude. A heart that appreciates what it has is recognized in heaven. When you value even small blessings, you demonstrate that you are ready for more. Neglect and ingratitude close doors, gratitude opens them. The more you acknowledge and wisely use what you have, the more heaven trusts you with greater provision. Stewardship also requires discipline. To overflow, you must control spending, manage resources carefully, and avoid waste. Discipline is not limitation, it is preparation for greater freedom. When you steward well, you set up systems that allow your blessings to grow instead of disappear. Every act of wise management multiplies what has already been deposited in your life. Another principle of stewardship is intentionality. Every dollar, every hour, every gift you use should have a purpose. Unplanned spending or careless use of resources diminishes your potential for increase. But when you act intentionally, you align your actions with heaven's law, making your life a fertile ground for multiplication. Stewardship turns what is small into what is significant. Stewardship also includes investing in others. Sharing your resources, mentoring, and supporting others creates spiritual circuits that return to you in ways you cannot foresee. Heaven rewards generosity combined with wisdom. Your overflow often begins when you bless someone else's life with what you have been given. Faithful stewardship transforms scarcity into abundance. When you manage faithfully, even small resources begin to grow. A single coin used wisely can multiply through investments, giving, and diligent management. The same principle applies to time, energy, and skill. Careful handling turns limited resources into unlimited opportunity. Stewardship requires accountability. Track what comes in and what goes out. Be honest with yourself about your management and seek counsel when necessary. Accountability ensures that your resources are used effectively, avoiding waste and misuse, which blocks increase. Heaven honors those who act responsibly. The law of stewardship also teaches consistency. Overflow is rarely sudden. It is the result of continuous, faithful management. When you consistently handle your finances and blessings well, you establish a rhythm that aligns with heaven's multiplication principle. Small, wise actions repeated over time compound into abundance. Stewardship unlocks not just financial increase, but personal and spiritual growth as well. When you manage wisely, you gain confidence, wisdom, and insight. Your decisions become sharper, your vision clearer, and your ability to receive greater blessings stronger. Overflow is a natural result of disciplined stewardship. So today, commit to becoming a wise steward. Handle your resources with care, act intentionally, give generously, and manage consistently. Your faithful stewardship opens the door for heaven to release more than you can imagine. Overflow is waiting for those who steward well. Embrace it, practice it, and watch as the hidden law of finances brings multiplied blessings into every area of your life.